downstairs.
Yeah, I'm not lower, just a little.
Just stand in front of the mics and do a quick sound check.
Yes.
No, Maria.
Oh, for Dr.
She's
Sue.
shortest.
Oh, great.
So we just want to make sure.
Sound check?
You can
Yes.
sit.
Okay. I know, I'm a shorty
No,
guy.
that's okay.
And you just, I did
We
the
just
audio
want-
check for you, and I think that you and I are on opposite sides.
Really?
No, you are petite, and I am tall. That is the difference.
I'm small but mighty. Thank you. Okay, we're good?
Yeah, that's it. We just wanted to make sure it was right before you started.
Yeah.
Did you all, it sounds okay?
Sounds
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Oh, you wanna?
Before
Yeah, go
we
ahead.
get started, I'm just gonna overview the format for today. Thank you for coming. So this is a media availability to discuss specific actions related to staffing and preliminary layoff notices for SFUSD. The format for today is we have prepared remarks from the superintendent and the board president. There will be a facilitated 10-minute Q&A following prepared remarks. And then we will have superintendent and board president available for full assignments, one-on-one interviews if you would like to pursue that. So without further ado, superintendent.
Yes. Okay, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Maria Sue. I am the superintendent for the San Francisco Unified School District. I want to begin today by expressing my sincere gratitude to San Francisco Unified School District's families, staff, and partners for your continued support as we navigate these really challenging times. Every day, our district serves over 50,000 students, and none of that would be possible without our over 9,000 employees who work tirelessly every day to make sure that our students receive the services and the love and care that they deserve. As you are aware, the district is facing a significant financial challenge. Our expenses, unfortunately, are far outpacing the revenues that we are collecting. We are now faced with the very difficult decision of cutting $113 million from our budget this year, for next year. However, we are committed to providing our students an educational experience that will set them up for lifelong learning. We are equally resolved in our work to be financially solvent. We can stand on our own 2 feet. I firmly believe that there is a reality where we can be operationally excellent as well as academically excellent. As part of this process, we are working closely with our California Department of Education advisors to maximize available resources as we are exploring ways to leverage restricted funding to supplement crucial staffing needs. In order to stabilize our district, the district has taken steps to implement budget balancing strategies. Those include our new program of supplemental early retirement options. This is a way for us to thank all of our long-term employees who have supported us over the years, and for those who maybe have started to consider retirement, for them to take this package now, to support us now as we move into the next future. We are also looking at the district's reductions in all of our contracts and services that we contract out to outside organizations and agencies. And then finally, we are maximizing restricted dollars that the district receives. Please know that our workforce represents 80% of our budget. While it is very painful, it is very necessary for us to reduce our existing workforce in both our central office as well as throughout our schools. We continue to prioritize decisions that are centered on the needs of our students, ensuring that the resources we do have will be used to support what matters the most: our students' academic success, our family's sense of safety, and our educators and our staff's well-being to do the work that they do each and every day. As required by state law, we must issue preliminary layoff notices by March 15th to employees who may be impacted by this reduction. The Board of Education tonight will meet to discuss the authorization of issuing these preliminary layoff notices to 395 certificated positions and 164 classified positions. If the board approves this, we will notify staff of their potential layoffs or reassignments later. In the upcoming months, we will also request approval to issue additional preliminary layoff notices to central office classified administrators and classified civil service positions. I want to be very clear. These are preliminary notices. They are not final, and they are not an indication of immediate separation of our employees. The board will not be taking action on which individual employees to separate with tonight. Prior to delivering notices, we will process all separations from the district, including resignations, retirements, and leave. Our HR department will then use a seniority list and other tiebreaker methods to determine which employees will receive those layoff notices. However, I am really glad to share that we have received overwhelming positive interest in the early retirement option that we have presented to our staff. We have successfully met our target for participation in the supplemental early retirement plan. And so we will be bringing that plan for approval to the board next month. This outcome will help us as we factor in final layoff notices for our employees. Once again, these are not easy decisions. I acknowledge that what we're doing here are impacting people's livelihoods. These are people who live here with us, who care for our children, who really, honestly, every day come and provide that service and love and care that we always want all of our children to have. So these are really difficult decisions to make. But I am also committed to making sure that our students get the stability and the long-term solvency of this district that they deserve. I want to make sure that we take all of these necessary steps. I believe that we can strategically allocate our resources that we have achieved, and so that we can achieve our ambitious student outcome goals. As I shared, I firmly believe that we can have and achieve operational excellence while at the same time achieving excellence in academics. I look forward to sharing our progress with everyone in the coming weeks. Thank you. And now I want to hand it over to our board president, Phil Kim.
Thank you, Dr. Sue, for your leadership, and hello, everyone. The Board of Education and district leadership will continue to work together as a strong governance team to regain local control of our budget. Recently, I was excited to share that we saw an increase in nearly 700 more transitional kindergarten applications and over 150 more kindergarten applications as of this enrollment period for next year. And this is great news. This shows the growing confidence of families choosing SFUSD. And we are incredibly excited to welcome these families and students to our communities. I want to be clear. While this puts us in an upswing, we have tough decisions ahead of us. The district has experienced a significant decline in overall enrollment consistent with statewide trends, and yet we've kept staffing levels largely the same. It simply is not sustainable. I am fully committed, alongside my fellow board members, to working closely with district leadership and our community throughout this process. We are taking the structural deficit seriously, and there are critical but necessary decisions in front of us. In the upcoming weeks, SFUSD will receive a more accurate financial report through its second interim budget report. And this forecast will help the district more accurately predict how many cuts will eventually be made. We are doing everything we can to provide clarity, honesty, and transparency throughout this process to stabilize our district that our community we know deserves. The board is clear-eyed with what we need to do to follow through and demonstrate that we can be fiscally responsible. And while these decisions are tough, we are on the path to regain local control of our budget and to deliver our vision to improve student outcomes. This is a critical turning point for us. We absolutely recognize the impact this uncertainty can have on our school communities. And so I want to thank the families, staff, and students who have advocated for their schools and the resources that we know they deserve. And I look forward to continuing our partnership with the state, our superintendent, and the board to close our deficit. Dr. Su and I are happy to answer any questions you may have at this time. I'll turn it over to Hung Mei to facilitate.
Thank you, President. So we're going to take questions from outlets one at a time, and I know some of you have already reached out over the weekend. So I'm going to call out, if you're here, feel free to ask your questions, and then we'll also go in sort of like order. So for standard, is Han here?
Yeah. Hi, Superintendent. You mentioned the CERB, which is the early retirement plan, received overwhelming interest, right? Do you have more information? Because it already closed last Friday. And will this popular program make the cut less painful?
So we are very gracious and appreciative of all of our employees who have taken the CERB. We had stated that we needed at a minimum 314 to allow us to realize the financial benefits of the CERB, and we have surpassed that number. So in next board meeting, we will share the exact number and the financial benefits from that.
Thank you. So do I have KTVU here?
Here. So, Christian Kaffman, Cat Channel 2. Just wondering if, so these preliminary notices, it seems like we're putting a lot of notices out without really knowing what the data are at this point, because it sounds like everything is going to be dependent on the employees who are going to be taking early retirement, and then there's going to be attrition, and there's going to be various factors. So I'm wondering whether this is really giving us an insight into whether we'll be able to resolve our budget issues, the action that the board is taking today. It feels like it's taking steps that are preliminary, for lack of a better term.
So once again, it is because of state law that we need to receive approval from the board for us to move forward with noticing. So state law requires that we provide these notices by March 15th. As you've shared, there are lots of still unknowns that we're grappling with. One of which is the final financial benefits of the SERP, the Supplemental Early Retirement Plan. Also, the number of people who choose to voluntarily separate with the district. And then finally, we still need to review the governor's May revised numbers. And so with all of that combined, by May 15th, we will then have a more final number for actual layoffs.
Superintendent, is NBC here? Okay, KQED?
Hi, Katie Tanetti. I'm wondering, in the future, it seems like often more layoff preliminary notices go out that end up being executed. Is there any plan to kind of change the system so that it's maybe less of a big effect, even on your end? Obviously, you can't change that March 15th deadline.
So we are beholden to the state laws of March 15th as noticing. I agree. I think it is very disruptive. I think it is very difficult for our staff to hear these numbers and to hear this message, and know that, you know, I greatly appreciate that after even hearing these numbers and this message, they're going to still continue to support our students. They're going to still go back into the classroom and provide the services that our students and families need.
This is Helen Window here. KTSF? Xindao.
Yeah, I have a question. Is from the closing school from last the old list. They said when they accept the transfer student, the process got really long. One of the parents want to ask, is it the closing school is safe, or they're still on the danger area?
So we are not closing schools next year.
Okay. Thank you. So we're gonna open it up. Go ahead.
Hi, Dan Kerman with KRON. So, so you're sending out about 550 layoff notices, and the teachers unions indicated that they figured that through voluntary retirement and this plan and so forth and so on, that most of these 550 will end up being able to teach next year because about 550 or so will voluntarily retire. And so, but even if that is the case, and I guess that's might be the hope, you're still running the district next year with about 550 less people because you need that to balance the budget. So how do you give a quality education with 550 approximately less people?
So first of all, we need to provide these notices because of our state requirements, right? Through this process, I have worked with our senior team to create a school staffing model that ensures that we have full classrooms, so classrooms that have students in it, and that each of these classrooms will have a qualified teacher in it. Based on our staffing model, we believe that we will be able to meet the needs of our students with this new restricted, decreased number of staff.
Next.
Hi, Luz Peña with ABC7 News. So kind of give us your perspective. What's your projection of how many people, do you think that maybe should be laid off to help the budget more than what you're saying right now?
That is too early for us to say at this moment in time. As I shared, there are lots of unknowns that we still need to go through. Our supplemental early retirement package just closed this past Friday, and we are working with our consulting firm to review the list. We're also looking at other district employees who are going to choose to leave the district. And then finally, we're keeping an eye on our state and federal budget. So all of that combined will then let us know what our final number will look like, but we won't have that until May.
I have some follow-ups, and I just want to keep an eye on time. We'll do just one more round of follow-ups, Christian, and then...
Working with the state fiscal advisor, wondering if there's a possibility to tap some of the bond funds, some of the funds that are out there that are kind of waiting to be used that at this point can't be tapped. What is the status of that at this point? What's it going to take to be able to access some of these funds that are already being set aside for education?
That's a great question. We are actively going through the multitude of restricted sources to make sure that we're using them to the best of our abilities. And that's everything from our local sources as well as our state and federal sources. So
as I understand it at this point, you can't get access to that until the budget is balanced, for lack of a better term. So then by issuing the notices, you can present, look, this is our plan. And at that point, would you possibly be able to access those funds and start drawing some of the money from those funds?
Well, we are actively reviewing all of those funds now. And once again, it's a very arduous process that's going to take time. And so hopefully well actually not hopefully, by May, we will be done with that process of reviewing all those restricted dollars and determine what would be eligible for us to use to then support our staffing needs.
So last question before we do one-on-ones.
And just one, can you address why it's important to get the full control back to the locals? And secondly, as opposed to saying how many layoffs does there need to be to balance the budget, the issue is how many, whether it's layoffs or retirement or whatever, is there a general number of, this is the general amount of staff reduction we need, one way or the other, to achieve $113 million? That's, right? That's what you're aiming at.
Yes, so based on our fiscal stabilization plan, we have to reduce our budget by $113 million in fiscal year 25-26. In fiscal year 26-27, we're projected to reduce our budget by another $13 million. In terms of quantifying the amount of reduction to the number of employees, that's really hard because our employees come in different, they have different salary schedules. So that it's a really hard estimate, which is why it will take us time to review the supplemental early retirement package plan, as well as review all of our resignation and attrition.
Okay. And the local control issue question?
It is extremely important for us to maintain local control because that is the way our district will be able to, in the future, well, not in the future, it is extremely important for us to maintain local control so that we can have the autonomy to oversee the work and the initiative and the creativity that we in San Francisco know that our children and our families deserve and need. It also allows us to have a level of predictability and stability for our students and families and staff. Once we maintain and retain local control, we will be able to confidently say to our staff, to our families, that this is what is needed to run a strong school district. And this is what we have because we've learned to live within our means, that our expenditures and our revenues are in line with each other, and that we can have predictability and stability for our students and our families and our educators and our staff for the coming years.
Any last comments, President?
There were some questions around just our work as a district and maintaining our focus around student outcomes, and I just want to be really clear as a perspective from the board. We do remain absolutely committed to ensuring that our outcomes continue to increase for our students, and we will continue to stay focused on our student outcome goals, which are actually right over here, to ensure that our students are reading by 3rd grade, that they have access to high quality instruction in math by 8th grade, and that we're reaching our goals around college and career readiness. That does not change amidst all the challenges that we are having with our fiscal situation. And we have work to do in partnership with Dr. Sue in supporting our district to meet our goals financially. And so, again, the board remains committed to ensuring that we are diligently working towards regaining our positive fiscal certification as we stay focused on ensuring that we are moving forward with the strategies that we know are important and critical to our student outcome goals.
Thank you, President Kim. So, Superintendent and President Kim,